What's that D stand for?
Hello everybody, Card Dreamer coming at you on behalf of D-Class, and today I am bringing you another one of our reviews. This time, I review Power Rangers Battle for the Grid on Xbox One. And with that said, let's get right to it. It's Morphin time! D-Class! And of course I'm still in my street clothes. That's a D-Class morph right there, ladies and gentlemen. So, I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the launch first, because this game had a very not too good launch. So, this is Power Rangers Battle for the Grid by nWay Games, and they're the same company that made or makes the Power Rangers Legacy Wars mobile game. This is their first foray into the console market. So, I grant there's some learning curve for there. You know, it was a big undertaking. They're by no means a AAA studio, and things are bound to happen. So, to give a short gist of it, a lot of things were not on the marketplaces where they should have been. If you had gone to Xbox or PlayStation or the Switch shops, you were only able eventually to pre-order the base game. And even then, some of the perks weren't there. So if you'd seen the ad for the game, it said if you had pre-ordered, you get the Green Ranger V2 skin, which was not listed as a pre-order bonus on any of these stores. So I looked up the company myself to try to see what was going on. And you were able to pre-order through the company website. And not only were you able to pre-order the base game with the Green Ranger skin, there was a collector's edition, or deluxe edition, however you want to look at it, that not only had the Green Ranger skin, but was listed as to come with a code for your friends, as well as a Mighty Morphin Pink Ranger skin for the Pink Ranger, and a Lord Draken Evo 2 skin for Lord Draken. So that, I was like, okay, cool beans. Oh, and it came with the first season pass. So I'm like, all right, cool. I'm on board with this. So, long story short, the codes went out the night of, or just early morning, I should say, of release day. And the codes didn't work. None of them. So, not for any console. And none of the codes worked until Wednesday. Now, granted, as compensation, the company did send out standard edition codes for people, but it was rough. So Wednesday came where you could play the base game, but you didn't have access to your skins or the season pass or anything. Thursday, you had access to your Green Ranger skin, but nothing else. And come Friday, late Friday I should add, you finally had access to all the skins, including the Season 1 Red Dragon Shield Ranger. That was part of the season. So, I mean, it came out basically in piecemeal, as opposed to being able to download your stuff. And then, obviously, there were people up in arms, and I'm not faulting him for that. Don't get me wrong, I was a little annoyed too. But, you know, I didn't sit there and riot. Having said that, now the game is now in full swing. There are still, I think, an issue here and there, but we'll get into that when actually reviewing the game. So the game had a rocky start, and I'm sure for a lot of people this is going to affect review of the game. It kind of impacts me a little bit towards the company, but I'm gonna base the game on its finished and what was intended version, so to speak. Not a launch per se. I mean, crap happens. This is our first foray, and they got it up and running. And I liked even the fact that they did it piecemeal, so you can at least get started, and the other stuff just kind of came as they got it worked ASAP. So I like how they handled the situation, and it wasn't easy, and we got through it. Having said that, let's go on to the main game. So for those who don't know, Power Rangers Battle for the Grid is a fighting game. It is a tag team based fighting game, kind of in the vein of the Marvel vs. Capcom series. So you can have up to, like, let's say you do arcade mode, as you see me playing here, you can have 3 different Rangers to choose from. And you can tag in and out. There's combo it's kind of like Infinite in that way, or not Infinite, Marvel vs. Capcom in that way, and where you can do all sorts of things. What's interesting about this game is it is not a. They found a really cool, neat balance as far as the fighting goes. Let's start off with the fighting. How does that handle? I think it handles actually pretty well. I like that it is not a in-depth, complicated game in the sense of, say, Injustice or Mortal Kombat, but it's not too simple like Smash Brothers. They found a very nice way to sit there and balance the two, where it's actually easy to understand and master button-wise and just getting the basics down, but it's not difficult to feel like you're fighting on a pro level like you would in Mortal Kombat or Injustice. And I really like that. I like that there's a nice balance. Yes, even when you're playing arcade, the difficulty starts ramping up, and you do have to learn, you do have to start timing things. It's not going to be an easy breezy thing, but at no point do you feel overwhelmed. And I really like that. I feel like this can really be approached on a casual level, but you can still feel challenged. You can still feel accomplished when you win. I like that. So I think the movesets are pretty varied. I think the fighting styles for each of the Rangers is very flexible. They're different. And that's really good. There's a balance to them, I feel. Sure, there are going to be some similarities. For instance, the Green Ranger and Lord Draken, being that they are the same person, so to speak. Spoilers, but not spoilers. Everybody who's going to pick this up should actually know by now how this whole grid thing and where the character came from. But, I mean, there's some semblance in fighting styles. Lord Draken is a little more heavier hit. And it shows. Everything is really good and fluid and balanced, and I really enjoy that. Now, unfortunately, there's a downside to this. So let's lead into the online play. Oh boy. So there is casual and there is ranked. And unfortunately, that's it. There are no lobbies. There's no real way to team up with friends. We're just getting the downsides out of the way now. That's very disappointing, because I would really have liked to play with little CD or even my brothers. I mean, this would have been a fun game to just play with friends. There is couch co-op, which is awesome. And there is cross-play between Xbox and the Switch. That is really cool. So I am really glad to see that cross-play is becoming a bigger thing in the console market in general. I'm really glad to see Nintendo and Xbox playing and getting along like this. It opens up your player base. This is great. But we need to be able to play with friends. And again, they're a new company into the console world, so of course, this might be a little harder for them to figure out. And heck, I'm not even sure how you would play with friends being on, let's say, 2 different consoles. If you're on the same one, that's one thing. How would you just strictly be able to invite a friend that's on a totally different console? I don't know how that works. It doesn't even matter. But I do agree I would like that option. That's where the multiplayer fun would be for me, because I don't really have anyone in person to play with. So, having said that, that's a downside for that. And of course, right now there's a bug also with online play where you cannot block low. The low block, even though I'm sure the animation happens, it doesn't work, which stinks. So having said all that, let's talk about another aspect of gameplay, and that is not just I talked about the combos and and stuff like that as far as the simplicity versus complexity. There's another element where you have either a giant Goldar, you have the original Mighty Morphin Megazord, or you have the Dragon Zord that you can call in that help do attacks as well. They can attack players. There's no fighting between Zords, which kind of stinks. That would have been great to see. That would have been really awesome. And maybe they'll introduce it later, but for now, that's out of the game. But it is cool to kind of see that you can get a kind of a assist using your Zord. So then, now let's talk about graphics. Graphically, unfortunately, like I said, this is by the same people who make the mobile game. And when I first saw the trailer for this, before I even saw the end, well, I shouldn't say before I saw the end. My first question was, is this a port? Because I don't really follow mobile games all that much, so graphically this reminded me of a mobile game. And so I thought maybe it was a port of. And then of course found out it is an all-original game for consoles. But the graphics are a little bit on a mobile aspect. They really don't utilize the power of any of the 3 systems that these are on. Which is a shame, but it's not unexpected. I think they were trying to keep this simple and in a realm that they can handle. And that's fine, and I respect that. By no means this is a bad looking game. It actually is I think it is a good looking game. There are some backgrounds that I actually really like. The Rangers are all muscular, which is kind of a little weird to see because none of the Rangers were muscular on the show in and of itself. So it's kind of interesting to see muscles put on Rangers. But they kind of get that from the comic books now, so I can't begrudge them that too much. But I do think the game is cool. As far as the sound goes, the music is decent, but it's very simple. It's only a couple of tunes. The fighting sound effects sound really good, but I am disappointed that there's very little quote-unquote voice acting. Even when it comes to the grunts, moans, battle cries, and so forth, there almost is none. And that's really disappointing. I really would have liked to have heard them, even if it's just getting sound bites from the shows. A little more battle cry, a little more of that type of stuff in with the fighting. You know, if I'm going to hit somebody, this is Power Rangers. I want to hear the hi-ya, yeah. Well, I want to hear all that, and you don't get that at all, and it's really kind of sad, and it makes it feel a little. I'm not sure what the word is, but it makes it feel a little hollow, a little less personal, a little less human. I don't know how else to word that. I almost don't feel like I'm playing with a living being, so to speak, you know what I mean? I feel like it's Destiny, for lack of a better comparison, where your guardian never speaks. But even then, Destiny had battle, cries, grunts, moans, things. I just would have liked to have heard that to make it feel more like I'm playing a character who's fighting and putting effort into this. So, let's talk about variety for the game. Now, you have a decent number of Rangers, I guess, to start, as well as there stages to go through. Unfortunately, as I've been able to tell and see, a lot's been pulled that was that was originally showed and demoed, whatever, before the game released, and now they pulled a bunch of stages, they pulled a bunch of characters for later release, which kind of is a little bit shady if that's true, because it feels like they pulled them just to use them for the season pass, and that really is a bad business practice if that's what they end up doing. I do not support that at all. But I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt to see how this works. I don't know if that's true. There obviously things were not commented on it. It's people's speculation. And obviously, yes, there were some things that were shown in footage that prior to release that are not there now. But, you know, that's for a lot of different things in different mediums. I'm not... You really can't hold that to... or just as one company at fault for something like that. I mean, that's standard business in this type of thing. So... there are only a couple of stages, and I really would have liked to have seen some of them be a little better looking. For instance, you get one of the battle stages is the command center, and Zordon doesn't look very good. I was kind of really disappointed. I would have liked to have seen a little more detail put into these things, but I mean, Zordon is probably and arguably the worst aspect to the whole game. He just does not look good, in my opinion, which is really depressing. It's sad, but it is what it is. One level I actually really like is one, there's like a big, almost looks like a T-Rex skull in the background through some trees. I actually really like that background. It looks really good. Another one I like is Lord Draken's castle, where you have broken weapons and even a broken Morpher from Rangers he had defeated. One of which being the Red Ranger. I believe the other one's the Battle Axe from the Black Ranger. And the Morpher doesn't even have a coin on it, it's just on the floor damage. So I think his round looks really cool and ominous. But I really would have liked to have seen a little more variety in the Rangers. You have the Black Ranger, or well, you have you have a Mastodon Sentry of Lord Draken's. You have Lord Draken himself. You have the Green Ranger. You have the Pink Ranger from Lord Draken's universe. You have the Red Ranger, Mighty Morphin Red Ranger. You have the Magna Defender. You have Cat, not the Pink Ranger. I think she's from SPD Rangers. You have a Yellow Ranger from Megaforce. But that's... yeah, I think there's like nine Rangers or 9 fighters and Goldar. So you have 9 fighters in total. And that's... that's a little hollow. I hope they do things right as they introduce new fighters, not just skins. For instance, if they introduce a Mighty Morphin Black Ranger, don't make it a skin of the Mastodon Sentry, because they're not even remotely the same fighting style. One's more guns and kind of militaristic, whereas the Mighty Morphin, you know, Zack and Adam, they had their own fighting martial arts style. They didn't have guns, machine guns, and call-in bomb strikes or anything like that. So don't make them skins. Make them unique. It'd be cool to see the White Ranger come in, but that would be a skin for Tommy. I'd like to see more Rangers just from different, you know. You got the Galaxy Rangers, Lost Galaxy. You have In Space. You have Turbo. You have so many franchises to choose for, or not franchise, so many different series of the Power Rangers to choose from. So it is potentially a roster that can go on for quite a while. And I don't want to just see new Rangers. I want to see other villains. I wouldn't mind seeing Lord Zed be a fighter. It'd be interesting. I wouldn't mind seeing Rita Repulsa, if anybody remembers him from the show. Any of the monsters that have shown up over the years would be great. I mean, there's no contest. There's so much to choose from, and I would love to see this roster expanded to something truly amazing. And obviously they're not going to fit everybody, because, you know, if it's successful, they'll do a sequel. Maybe they'll even get better. But I want at least 20 playable characters. That would be my goal. before they do a sequel. 20 playable characters. I want to see more background stages come in. I do want to see more skins. There's just so much. Ninja could be a fighter. I mean, so much potential. So overall, I think we covered basically the gist of the game. There isn't a lot right now. There is no story mode, which is another thing that I kind of am sad about. And when you play arcade, they give little snippets of dialogue, text form, but it's nothing huge. So as far as achievements go, if you're a PlayStation or Xbox person, it's a mixed bag. Some of them are pretty simple. There's an achievement for each character of each of the 9 rosters, and you get one for beating arcade mode with each of them, as well as for so many in general. The ones that are going to be that I really don't like are way overly grindy. There's ones for like playing 10 online matches, 50, 100, 1,000, which is just ridiculous to have to play 1,000. And then they did the same thing for ranked matches. You don't have to win, you just got to play them. But still, I think that's really bad. So there's that. I would have liked more. I always like variety in achievements. Sure, you could do like play 20 online matches, win. I don't care, even if it's just win 10. You know, that's fine. I would tolerate. I could deal with that. I'm not huge on the online play, but I get that people obviously are, and you have to have something for everybody. So that would be cool or something, and that's fine. Do certain combos with certain characters that kind of fit their persona. Maybe achievements for beating a ranger with another ranger, or beating a villain with a certain ranger. Things that kind of would be epic moments, or a little bit of replays from shows or something, rematches. Things like that I would have really liked in the list. Obviously for the Switch users, this is a non-issue. So having said all that, how would I rate the game overall? To be fair, I've enjoyed the game. It's a casual fighting experience, and for someone who's not good at fighters but still enjoys playing them, that to me that's kind of saying something. Whereas like Injustice is one of my, if not my favorite fighter of all time. This is fun. I find this is a nice refreshing thing to go back to. I don't have to work too hard, but I still get a challenge. I still have fun. I do like the different skins that they've chosen so far. I think they kind of came out swinging as far as looks goes, between the Green Ranger V2 skin, which people may or may not recognize, is actually from a Bat in the Sun video in which Jason David Frank guest starred. And I think that suit actually first appeared at the Ryu versus Green Ranger. So that's actually kind of awesome. And then the second skin for Lord Draken, that was pretty cool. So, and then they used a Red Ranger Dragon Shield version. So I mean, they definitely do some cool stuff. I'm not gonna knock what they do. I really hope this game grows. I really enjoy having fun with it. I really want them to introduce, more than anything right now, the ability to play with your friends. If they introduce that, the game's gonna get way more use from a lot of people. So overall, do I recommend getting this game? Absolutely. I think this is a fun game. The standard edition is 20. The collector's edition is 40. You can still get the Green Ranger skin if you get it at the time of release of this video. I think it's a lot of fun, but obviously you have to be a Power Rangers fan. Would I recommend this to people who are not Power Ranger fans, and you're just a fighter fan? Probably not, because I do think if you're a fighter fan, there are better fighters out there. Obviously, you have the Marvel vs. Capcom series. You have Soul Calibur if you prefer that type of fighter. You have Street Fighter games. You have Injustice. You have Mortal Kombat. I think you're better off staying with those. But if you're a Power Rangers fan who likes casual fighting games, this one's definitely for you. So having said that, I'm Card Dreamer. Thank you all for watching. Leave your comments down below what you think of this Power Ranger game. How did its launch affect you, if at all? Did you get it? Are you looking to get it? Have you been put off by everything? Like and subscribe. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, stay evil.